Hello, hello, my Aries collective sun, moon, rising, Venus sign. Welcome to your work, career, and vocation reading. Something new to the channel, something I've been doing for myself for decades, I realized. And early this morning, 2 a.m., they said, hey, do that and do it on your cell phone instead of the usual setup, right? So Aries, first sign of the zodiac, trying something new for you on this Sagittarius moon Monday. What is today? Today is the 19th? Yeah, it's the 19th. So very, very happy to be serving you, starting the week with these reads. These are going to go up a lot quicker because I'm not going through my usual editorial process, right? But let's do this properly. Welcome. I am your reader, Angelo, Lyons, Mel for short, professional wish, professional intuitive, president of DrawingTheCircle Productions, the Archangel of Lyons, Angelo Lyons. But you can call me Mal. Hi, and you get a little different camera angle here too. Playing with my tech, got myself a tripod just for my cell phone with all the special attachments, but the remote don't work, so I still got to use my fingers. But so what? Learning curve, right? So let's get up in this gig, right? This is a 9-card spread. I'm using 3 of the Caroline Mace archetype, 3 of the Daughters of the Moon, and 3 of the Mythic Tarot, my usual, right? Usual suspects to get you a little clarity, guidance, and grace on your work, career, and vocation. 3 levels of power. Eau de Toilette, cologne, perfume. There are 3 different things: your work, your career, and your vocation. I learned this from Caroline Mace's The 3 Levels of Power on audio a very, very long time ago when iPods were first created. It was one of the lectures of hers that I listened to, and I've been implementing those 3 levels of power, particularly understanding there is a difference between work, career, and vocation. So here we go. Really quickly, 3 levels of power: the literal, the personal, and the symbolic, right? So the literal world is physical world, if you like, the lower 3 chakra world, right? Interaction out here. That's work. Work is for survival, how you pay your bills, how you survive, how you live. Career, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, right? That's your personal world, your interior world, the world behind your eyes, and that's why your career is there, because it satisfies a mental hunger and an emotional thirst, right? Your career. And I'll give you my examples in my life very easily. And then your vocation, 8th chakra, your spiritual calling, right? The symbolic level of power. So if you like the 8th chakra, right? So you've got all 8 chakras working here, working, careering, and vocationing all over the place. This is to help you get a little insight into the different patterns there, so you can see how to shift, how to move, how to grow, how to flow with your work, career, and vocation, putting it together. For example, my work is as a president, right? It is for my survival, but I don't get paid for the work that I do as a president. That's the bookings, that's the editing, that's the production part of it, right? My career is as a reader and a teacher, really a healer and a teacher if you want to go there. And that gives me great, totally satisfies and a mental hunger and an emotional thirst to share my skills, my talents in service, and my vocation is as a mystic. My connection to the divine and a visionary and that kind of stuff. So putting them all together, I get to do all 3 every day pretty much. Not everybody has it that way, but so many people are trying to make money through their career, not really looking at it as work, right? Like actors, their career, artists, let's just say artists. How many of them wait tables and work side job, right? So it's career and work, right? The waiting tables to do their art. So you get it. And the vocation is what pulls you forward, right? Your calling in this life, which may have nothing to do with the job whatsoever. What if it's to heal and love yourself unconditionally? You get the idea. So exposition done. This is a general read. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And of course, your sun sign is going to get different than your moon, right? Or your rising, and putting in other signs like Venus and Mars and that stuff is fine, but I think for this time around, let's just do sun and rising signs, shall we? I guess that's about it. Let's get up in this gig. Remember to breathe, stay in the present moment, and I'll give you the best clarity, guidance, and grace that I can. 4 minutes in. Let's do this. Nice deep breath. Again, all the decks that I read are in the description box below. There will probably be some other cool links in there to check out. Let's do this. my collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, I need 3 Caroline Mace archetype cards to see the soul powers being healed, being alchemized, from shadow to light, lead to gold, toxic to health in their work, their career, and their vocation. So please, 1 for their work, first level of power, survival. Their second level of power, their career, mental, emotional, hunger, and thirst. And finally, their vocation, their calling, 8th chakra, symbolic level of power, rock and roll. There are also 3 levels of intuition, survival, creative, and visionary, right? So there's so many ways to look at this. So these first 3 cards down are going to show you more of the soul contract stuff that you contracted to come into, learn, grow, heal, and live through. And very well, we're off to a start here. We've got the priest or priestess archetype in the position of work. Now, here's the thing. You may not be a priest or priestess, but chances are, if you're following my channel, you certainly have the attributes of what's going on here, right? Now, we're going to take it out of the what's the word I'm looking for? The liturgical domain. We're going to take it out of the churches and the temples and the circles, right? And we're just going to look at this as a divine family archetype. The shadow attribute violates the trust of your spiritual community. I get a hit on what that might be about. Seduced by your own spiritual role. So you might, like, your work in this world might be something that goes against your spiritual values, which, I mean, I get it. People got to do what people got to do. But at the same time, it might be something that might more freak out your friends, your families, your tribe, right? Your community. That violates some kind of rule there, which could be a real push and pull. I mean, unless you are literally a priest or a priestess, then that's the work that you do to survive. Then we know high priest and high priestess fever. We know what that's like. It's the spiritual ego taking things over, and it's a nightmare, right? But the second part, seduced by your own spiritual role, like, take that into context. If you are one of many people in our workforce who are really trying to bring their spirituality to work, which I understand, but that is such a personal thing, doesn't always translate well on the outside. However, catch this, the light attribute facilitates spiritual commitments. I could get that. You could be someone inspirational on the workforce who's inspiring people, right? Facilitating this, we can commit to this. Let's all do this together, right? That kind of, that could even be a group leader project thing, but with more of a spiritual, divine archetype bend to it. But this part serves as a channel of spiritual energy. I bet that hits a lot of you Aries collective, sun, moon, rising signs. So like I said, we're going to have 2 other decks to clarify these. 9 cards in total. Let's look at your career, though, because if this is what you're doing for work, let's see what you're doing for career. This does make sense. The father archetype. So whatever it is that you're doing to pay the bills in terms of your career, like, you might be making your money in work. This is going to play itself out differently for everybody, right? A general read where your money, this isn't a money reading, it's a work, career, vocation, which of course obviously affect all of that. The shadow attribute, though, dictatorial control and abuse of authority. Like, we've all had that boss. I've worked for that boss, and I quit from that boss, both when they were males and both when they were females. Those were jobs I left, right? I already had a dad. He crossed when I was 17 years old. We're still in touch. The light attribute, talent for creating and supporting life, positive, guiding light within a tribal unit. That could work very, very well in a corporate setting. Tribal, right? So there's something tribal going on here, right? Because there's community, spiritual community here, and a positive guiding light within a tribal unit. Fascinating. Again, we're going to clarify these, go much deeper. And your calling, fabulous, the Hermit card. By the way, divine family archetype, masculine family archetype. Remember, this has nothing to do with gender. But here we have a wisdom family archetype, the Hermit. And I love the Hermit archetype. I am a Virgo. I would call this the Virgo card of this deck. But it's an archetype anyone can have. So catch this, in terms of your spiritual calling, the shadow attribute withdraws from society out of fear or negative judgments of others. So common this year, I'm going to say, right? Refusing to help those in need. tricky, right? You can't help everybody, right? There's something Matt Kahn said. We're not using his deck for this read. Are you shocked? That he said about just feed who you can in whatever way that you can. So I have these two little twin kittens that they're ferals. I live in a nice community, so it's like they're ferals all over the place, but they're very well protected. So just this past week, I've been blessing and putting out food for them. And last night, an opossum crawled. It just came right out while I was sitting there watching the. So I'm like, yeah, totemic stuff, right? So that thing of it's in terms of a vocation, there's a learning process. There's an evolution into that, where there might be people that your gut tells you, I can't help them. But this is different. Refusing to help those in need, right? That hermit, almost like a hoarder in that sense. But now here's the light. Remember, as toxic as the shadow is as bright as the light, and vice versa. Seek solitude to focus intently on inner life. Serves personal creativity. I mean, these three go together in a way that, yes, I could obviously see this as a male person, but this is not about gender, right? So your work is as a priest or a priestess in some way. The father archetype, your career, is really about the divine masculine archetype. Everybody has a divine masculine archetype. Everybody has a divine feminine. Read Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Mace, who created the deck. Brilliant. Life changer for me. Big time life changer. And with that card of the hermit, seriously, in the point of vocation, definitely talking about a calling to your own interior world, to recharge your batteries, to do the healing mystically. With your own spiritual power, in order to not just accumulate wisdom. You already have wisdom, you just might not see it all, because wisdom is something we store inside of ourselves, right? We don't even realize. With knowledge plus experience equals wisdom, right? So there's something experiential going on here. And I dig this a lot. By the way, they had me do this like 1 in the morning, and then by 2 in the morning, they were like, guess what you're doing tomorrow on YouTube? I'm like, oh, lovely. I do these so often for myself. I mean, being self-employed for, oh God, since 1998, right? It's a long time. You got to get your guidance and grace where you can. Shall we? Daughters of the Moon Tarot, what's going on inside of you? Yin side of you in your work, career, vocation. Let's ask the goddesses. Breathe. And yes, I am serving sort of businessman realness today with the collared shirt, but you know, I believe it's H&M. So whatever. His and mine. Breathe. All right, my goddesses of fire, my goddesses of Aries, please, I need 3 cards in clarity. We'll do them face down, turn them over one at a time. For this Aries collective, Sun, Moon, Rising sign, in their work, career, and vocation. We've got the priest, please, what's going on inside of them in terms of work, their internal world, their yin-internal world. With that priest archetype, y'all come back a little bit. First time doing it, still finding the spacing. Please, my goddesses, one for their career with this father archetype being developed and in play, and one for their calling, right? With that hermit archetype, please clarify, particularly with this hermit, since it's about interior life, what's going on inside of them, right? That would be very helpful. Bloop, bloop, bloop. You got the priest archetype with the Cancerian card, the Mother of Cups. So we are talking about definitely an emotional thing here, right? That element of water. Now, this doesn't say that you're a Cancer or you have Cancerian placement, but I will say there's something very motherly about this. Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, like amniotic fluid, right? Like mother's milk, like that creative water, cardinal water. Cancer would be the King of Cups in a traditional tarot. So this is nurturing. This is really being, like, you may not wear rosary beads around your neck. You may not have a tentacle tattoo. A tentacle tattooed on your forehead. A pentacle tattooed on your forehead. I have to say it the wrong way so I can say it the right way. but this is a role that you play that maybe you're aware of, maybe you aren't. And if you are unaware of it, it's good to know, right, that you may be channeling some real loving vibes, like coming from this place of nurturance. Now, are you everybody's mother at work, right? Regardless of your gender. That's an interesting thing to play, because how often do we replay our family dynamics at work? Please, like I said, I worked for my dad in a couple of different bodies, never for him directly. God rest his soul, right? So speaking of father, right? Your career, that father archetype, what's going on in the inner is the Five of Cups, the storm. So already we're seeing some emotionality here, right? We're seeing some emotional tumult on the inside. I feel tummies rumbling. I feel solar plexus stuff going on. And I feel like a real needing to weather this storm. So in terms of your career, maybe you are emotionally upset. I mean, it would make sense. This is 2020, right? Where nothing is the same as it was since New Year's Eve, right? So we really are experiencing some emotional internal upset here with our Aries collective sun, moon, rising signs. And it would make sense. Now, it would make sense that they might be mothering other people, but inside of them, the father is at storm. In other words, the feminine energy, the feminine dynamic here, the more emotional, loving, is perhaps a bit more giving and unconditional in the literal world, like in the work world, dealing with people and stuff like that. But inside might be at storm, right? Like the father of the ships navigating through the storm. Might not know, but that's okay. The Five of Cups turn into the Six of Cups. Balance. The how, the when, the where. That's the journey, right? So, let's see if I can keep them on camera. I don't think I can. The Hermit. Your calling. Well, and the Five of Pentacles and earthquake. So you are shook up. You are, I mean, 2 fives. We can fold that in a minute. But really looking at what's going on in your career has really changed you on the inside in ways that you might not be aware of spiritually. Now, I got to say, Five of Pentacles has so much negative connotation to it, and I understand it. Those are valid interpretations, but tarot is neutral. So I tuned to this for some of you. This is really having a spiritual breakthrough. How long do earthquakes last? Someone once said to me a minute or two. I'm like, that would be total devastation depending on Richter scale. I'm not talking about aftershocks. I mean, an actual moment of earthquake. It's like seconds, like 15 seconds. It's really long. You'd be surprised. You count that fucker out. That's a lot of shaking, right? Changes so much so quickly. So you might very well be going through a lot of changes spiritually here, which then again, I'm going to go back to the shadow of this. Are you violating? The real challenge here, is your spirituality changing and evolving into a place that really, in a way, I don't want to say separates you from, but is radically different from that of your spiritual community, violates the trust of your spiritual community. That's an interesting thing, right? And yet here you are being motherly. I don't feel like there's any shenanigans going on here. But it's interesting that you have an archetype of really the zodiacal mother and the archetype of the father here. So there might be some parental issues going on here, particularly with that, because what are dads like when they're at storm? Not fun, not fun, not fun, right? And then, of course, with that card of the earthquake, with the Hermit, there's something earth-shaking going on for you spiritually, right? So this is a very much, and that's why these readings are for October, November. I'll do them again in November. It'll be November, December. There's an overlap. This is work, career, vocation. Things can change quickly, but there can also be situations in a work, career, or a vocational process that is ongoing, right? That takes a while. So that's what's going on the inside. What's going on the outside, right? We already got 6. Let's get our last 3 down and get you 9 from the Mythic Tarot. Let's see. Breathe. Oh, my gods, my gods, my gods. Please, I need 3 cards in clarity for this Aries collective sun, moon, rising sign in their work, career, vocation. Please, my gods, Aries and Hephaestus wearing the rings. That's why they're in the thumbnail. Please, the totems, my brothers, the brothers of Zeus and the son of Hera. Please, 1 card in clarity for this Aries collective and their work, 1 for their career, and 1 for their vocation. Thank you very much. Very fast, very, very fast. So again, we have the priest archetype, power, soul power being developed here. I'm going to put it all together, you know I always do. With this Cancerian card, creative water, that can also mean like your emotions are contributing in a way that is creative, one that is a blessing, right? Somehow channeling spiritual energy. But with the death card on the outer, that means, again, a transformation is taking place. It doesn't mean the end. I mean, I know there are people who are reading on YouTube and blessed be. We all have our different interpretations, but to say that the death card is an ending doesn't make sense, since it's the 13th card of the major arcana out of 20 or 22 cards, depending on how you want to look at that. And counting the 0, it's 22 in traditional tarot. So this is a transformation, like more than midway through, right? This is a going to or rising from the ashes, and my sense is that this is part of your new schemata at work, that you are sort of serving from a more personal, let's say, not say personal, a more spiritual perspective, a more nurturing, right? Channeling divine energy, right? Well, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. So that's really interesting. Perhaps in a time, maybe the work that you do is going through massive transformation like everybody else. I mean, thankfully, I was set up as a YouTuber, monetized and everything right as the lockdown was happening, right? You know, the gods take care of me that way. And I love this. All right, so what's interesting here, we've got the father archetype here with the storm, but you've got the 6 of swords here. Brilliant. Really, from the 5 of cups on the inside, 6 of swords on the outside. You may not have begun this journey yet, this mental journey from troubled waters to calm, right? And there is an island ahead, right? Going somewhere. There is a destination, but you may be beginning that or in the process of moving from this more emotional storm thing and really thinking this through. Now, thinking this through, of course, would be the divine masculine part of this, the element of air, father archetype, divine masculine archetype. This is really about thinking this through, maybe getting the counseling, the confession, the whatever can move you from turbulent, right? It's here, I could do this, right? Like there's the storm underneath it, right? This is what you're moving away from in the outside world, but that doesn't mean that the inside world isn't still upset, tumultuous at storm, right? So it's and it would make sense, like if you think of the father as the captain of the ship, at least of your own career, right? Then you are navigating your way through this, you're making your way through, but I feel like with this priest and this hermit vibe going on here, this has a lot to do with divine guidance, just my take on it so far. Last card down. Again, we have got the hermit with earthquake, which a good place to go is inside during an earthquake. Just make sure it's structurally secure because you've got the strength card. Your heart may be going through changes. You might have gone through a spiritual jolt or a heartbreak in some way, shape, or form, hence the going in to heal oneself with the hermit, so to speak, but to gain wisdom from it, but very quickly. Remember that the card of strength is not about the strength of the body or the strength even of the will, so much as the strength of the soul. That's what we're talking about, courage here. So there's an endurance, right? The personality has things it wants, right? Like absolutely there are things that I want. I'm allowed to want all of that stuff. But my soul has needs, and courage is one of them. Emotional endurance, fortitude is another, right? So the soul gets what it wants first. And when what we want and what we need are the same, we think we did it, right? It's just a journey, right? So putting all this together, I kind of get this. Like I get the overall feel. Now, again, this is a general read. So what I'm about to say may not fit you, but listen to it symbolically. So for work, we've got a priest archetype, right? Violates the trust of their spiritual community, seduced by their own spiritual role. And that can be played out in lots of different ways, toxically in terms of a work deal. But the light attribute facilitates spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. That feels more like that feels like ding, like right here, that feels like, yeah. As a mother figure in some way, shape, or form, right? Being nurturing, creative, but crabby too. Like definitely that external, you know what I mean? All shell and claws there, perhaps protective like a mother would be, with dealing with some sort of major transformation going on within the work. I don't feel like just within you here. This is in the outer. Again, that's going to play itself out differently for everyone in a general read, but my feeling is that it's like the work or the industry has transformed. Today I had a reading with somebody who works for the airlines. She's working from home, I think, from what it sounded like. You know, her whole industry has transformed, and that is the literal physical world. That would make sense. But then looking at this father archetype for the career, right? What is the mental hunger and emotional thirst here, right? One would think it would be talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. But with that card of the storm, there could be aspects of dictatorial control and abuse of authority that are just emotional, right? Maybe you're being controlled in that way, but I would think if that's your archetype, right? Again, I guess these archetypes could be other people that you're dealing with as well, or the situation, the actual work, career, vocation schemata there. But my sense is these are the soul powers you are developing anyway. So to back yourself up, like we know how to mother ourselves. That is part of our lingo, right? You have to mother this, right? Mother your foot, if you've heard it. What does it mean to father yourself? What does it mean? Like that's a conversation we've had on live streams. You can go back and watch that. I think it was when was that when Saturn went retrograde? I can't remember, just a while ago. But with that thing of storm, just know that you are going to make your way through this. It's already in play, but it is a mental journey. Six of Swords. People go travel by water. I'm like, it's a little literal. It's about really, again, rite of confession, counseling, reading, anything using the mind to move you forward. You definitely have a career goal, whether vague or specific. But you're going through something where you have to really father yourself or in some way become the father to others, maybe through your own creativity, right? Talent for creating and supporting life. So that could totally be an artist's creativity, really moving this forward, but in an external yang sort of way, but needing to navigate through your own internal storm. And then your calling here, right? The Hermit with the earthquake. And strength. This is so beautiful. So the light attribute seeks solitude to focus intently on inner life, serves personal creativity. Like the word creativity keeps popping up here. And of course, with the courage there on the outside, it's like you have the strength to follow your vocation, the internal, right? The eighth chakra, so powerful so that you can what? Whoop, here we go. Watch out from withdrawing from society out of fear or negative judgments of others, which I understand. I'm an empath. I know what's going on in the world. Or refusing to help those in need. Remember, you can do that from a level of prayer, but that does take quite a bit of courage. So overall, I would say a priest, a father, and a hermit walk into a bar and ask for work, career, and vocation, and they get emotional, nourishing to give here. This storm to brave weather through their life with this earthquake inside as they go through death, a transition mentally and an initiation of strength spiritually for the well-being. Well, it's pretty awesome. Pretty interesting for first read too, and I'm glad they didn't softball. They gave me a nice hard ball to interpret here, so I think we're off for the races. So may the Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed. Sun, Moon, Rising. May the Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising signs be blessed with all that they need in their work, their career, and their vocation. October, November 2020, that they may heal, may learn, may grow, may evolve, may become the best that they can be in service, that they may get what they need to survive, satisfy their mental hunger and emotional thirst, and really hear the calling of their vocation for their well-being, for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. And I got to fix that so it don't jiggle. I can do that. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, tell people about me. I'm trying to get my career goal is to get 30,000 subscribers so I can do extendeds here as well as on Vimeo.com. There isn't one for this. This is what you want to call a quickie. And look, it's about 30 minutes. First one down. We'll see how the rest go. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all so very much. Hail. Farewell. and blessed, blessed be.